Tough loss for Alabama. I guess no other way to say it, but Michigan and Alabama played to overtime, and Michigan beats Alabama 27-20. Alabama, with 4 minutes left to go in the game, had the lead, and they come up short. Hats off to Michigan. Really good football team. Great defense. This is one of the classics, man. I mean, you don't win every single game you play. Sometimes it feels like you do, but that defense, man, I mean, their defensive line was just fantastic today. I mean, they made the difference.
The real deal, Mick. I tell you, 5 sacks in the first half, and I think they got to Milroe once or twice in the second half. Yeah, they're the real deal. And I tell you, good football team, and they'll probably win it all if they play like they did today.
Yeah, well, they did a lot of things right. I mean, they got pressure on the quarterback the entire game, and Alabama did a lot of things right too. To throw the stats up there, but this is a great game. I mean, it was, you could tell early on that it was going to be one of these type of games, kind of nip and tuck. I thought Michigan had a great game plan. I thought Alabama did a nice job. At times, Alabama had a chance to win this thing in the fourth quarter, and Michigan, on that fourth down play, they made the play that they had to make, and I felt like that was the difference. When they needed to do something, right, they came up with that little pass to Corum. No one covered them, and then they went down the field and got a touchdown, and and they beat Alabama. So, and this was a huge win for Michigan. I mean, they haven't had this win. This is the game that has eluded them in the college football playoff, and by beating Alabama, I mean it's such a big win for their program, just because you're beating the best, and I think that you got to just tip your cap to them, man. I mean, to Michigan and what they were able to do today. Not sure about that call on the last play, just run into the line, but I don't know, man. I mean, there's just so many things that kind of this was just such a tough mental game to watch.
I'm exhausted, man. I'm just physically and mentally exhausted, as most fans probably are right now. But yeah, you're right. I mean, it's exhausting, but I don't know. For some reason, there at the very end, I just thought we've lost the game. But I texted you. I said, one more stop and we should have this thing, and then we couldn't stop them. And hats off to them. They played a better game than we did, and they deserve to win. And they're going to move on to play for the national championship, something they haven't won since 1997. So kudos to Harbaugh and company and their fans.
Yeah, well, I didn't see this coming, but you as the thing started to roll on and into that fourth quarter, when they had to make plays, they did. Here are the notes that I made throughout the game, and I've got the stats up there. Well, we'll talk about those as well. And I appreciate all you guys in the comments section. I'm going to take some calls as well, but this isn't going to be a wine session. I mean, just this team. This was a hell of a football game. It's not like Alabama went out there and looked like Florida State. You play these type of games. And this was a man's game that we just saw. I mean, this was two teams that went at each other. And all right, so here's the notes I made. First off, run the ball. I felt like Alabama needed to run the ball more. I mean, Michigan was selling out to stop the pass. Alabama obviously didn't know what they looked confused. The offensive line kind of looked like they did back at the beginning of the season. I felt like the running game was there and that Alabama kind of needed to utilize that a little bit more. And it felt like they kept wanting to pass, but Michigan's secondary did a good job of basically keeping Alabama off balance, covering guys. And then the other thing was that they that were in the backfield so much. I mean, you never really had a time to throw the ball. And then I thought Michigan's blitzes were paying off, like with different guys coming in and, and rushing the quarterback. later in the game. I'm so sick and tired. I hope Seth McLaughlin just doesn't snap at Alabama anymore. That's the one thing about this season that I'm glad I don't have to look at next year. I mean, how can we not get this right? And I heard, they said, well, Saban was saying, maybe Milroe could help out. I've never seen a season where the snaps were this bad consistently. Go out in the transfer portal and get somebody to come to Alabama that can snap the ball. Is that fair?
After 13 games, you think we could get that down pat?
I mean, it's ridiculous.
Ridiculous. And, in overtime, we almost lost one as it was snapped wide to the right of Milroe. But I don't know. It's frustrating. Yeah, but continue with your notes.
All right. Run, Milroe, run. Like I didn't like the play call in the last play, but I did like Milroe running the football. Like I just felt like that was the one thing that Michigan had a tough time defending. We knew they would, and they did. The passes weren't there. It looked like the team was out of sync. Who knows why? Probably because of all the pressure. But run the ball. I mean, if that's something that you're doing effectively, then stick to doing it. I thought Milroe's run game was something that when he was doing it, it was it was definitely effective. I thought that the penalties for the most part were clean. I mean, we had some false start penalties, but for the most part, I thought they played a clean game. I mean, the officials missed the punter getting run into. I thought there was a face mask that they missed, but honestly, I thought that I thought that the officiating was pretty good. I didn't have a problem with that. I think that Bond is the Isaiah Bond moving forward. He's the receiver now, and when you get him the ball, he makes plays. And so I think that was something like he made some great plays, but 4 minutes and the lead and couldn't come up with the play. And even into that, if you don't kick a field goal and you score a touchdown, on that drive, then, maybe you don't even have to worry about that at the end of the game. But, Bama had the ball tied with 1:34 seconds left. And again, it just couldn't make plays at the end of the game. And then Blake Corum, I've said it all, this week, big, fast, strong running back, got a touchdown. And then, Alabama just never was in sync today. But I think that's because of Michigan's defense. And for those Michigan fans hanging out, congratulations, man. You guys earned this one. This was a tough game, and you won, and you deserve to win today. I mean, as much as that pains me to say, it's the truth.
It was two heavyweights battling it out, and it came down to, it took more than 4 quarters. Did it surprise you a little bit? I was watching the opening of the game, and we've been talking about Michigan's run game so much, but they came out just flinging the ball. That surprised you much? No,
because I kind of had a feeling that J.J. McCarthy was injured. I thought he maybe down the stretch had some injuries. I figured they would come out and throw the ball, and they did that. The Bama defense was pretty good, but Michigan had a balance today of mostly runs and some passes, but they have a big, strong, physical offensive line. And it's not like both of these teams struggled to move the football on each other. I mean, let's be honest. I mean, there were some drives that the teams had. But when that drive came at the end of the game and they had 4 minutes left and it was, 4th and 1 and Michigan went for it and, Alabama didn't cover the back out of the backfield, that was the game, they made the play there, and then after that they scored, and it was came down to the last play, and what it is what it is. Looking at the stats, Jalen Milroe just not effective throwing the ball today, and it's because he really didn't have any time. But 16 of 23, 116 yards, no interceptions, no touchdowns. Right. Chase McClellan was back, 14 carries, 87 yards, his last game, 2 touchdowns. He also fumbled the ball. Milroe had 20 carries for 62 yards. I think that's what really that's what hurt Alabama is that Milroe had to run so much today, and other guys weren't able to run. Now I wanted him to run. Don't get me wrong, But I would have liked to have seen, some other effective runners. Justice Haynes, you got a feel for what Alabama's going to look like in the future. 4 carries and 31 yards. Blake Corum, one of the best backs that we'll see. He's going to be, maybe the greatest back in Michigan history. 19 carries, 83 yards, had the touchdown at the end of the game, big play. And McCarthy, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions today, 17-27. He's so accurate, and that was kind of what I was talking about before. I described him as someone who kind of reminded me of Jay Barker. It's not flashy, but he figures out a way to get things done, and they win football games because of that.
Yeah, he won't get you beat. Yeah, Corum, man, his lower leg strength's so good. I mean, he would move the pile. You'd hit him, and then the yard after contact. I mean, he would push the line, for 3 extra yards. But I don't know other things. Do you think the MVP of the game may be our special teams, the punter, and our kicker?
Yeah, I mean, those guys were really good, man. They kept Alabama in the game.
Yeah.
I'm trying to find the special teams. Yeah, Burnham had a 62-yard kick.
Yeah.
7 punts for 352 yards. He was just so good. Pat McAfee was going crazy on Twitter celebrating. Will Reichert hit a couple field goals. Both of them were really long in his final game at Alabama. The all-time leader in points.
50 and 52, I believe.
Yeah, 50 and 52, and just a lot of fun, man.
Yeah. So they move on to play the winner of the Washington and Texas game, which is coming up, I think, here in about 10 minutes or so.
Yeah.
Out in Houston. So I guess I need to cancel my plane ticket here.
Yeah, I think a lot of us are going to have to kind of deal with, the fact that it didn't turn out the way we wanted it to, and that's okay. I mean, it's you're not going to win every game. To me, I have always said that I just want to see Alabama play good football, and it wasn't perfect today, but it was a slugfest, and they hung in there. They had the lead late in the fourth quarter, and they needed another play or two to win, and they didn't get that. But at the same time, I don't think there's anything in this game, and I'd say this, that I don't think there's anything in this game to be ashamed of. I mean, you're talking about the SEC champs. You're talking about, a team that got close, but
we weren't supposed to be here. I mean, really.
Yeah, I know. I mean, look, I wish it would have went a different way, obviously, but it just didn't. It never felt comfortable. I never felt like Alabama was ever in an offensive groove. Every time they would get something going, you'd get a bad snap, or you'd get you'd shoot yourself a penalty, and it was or a sack, all those sacks in the game too. So I mean, it was a lot of little things that played into it. All right, Brett, let's take some calls. We're also waiting on Coach Saban too, so we'll hear what he has to say. I'm sure this one's going to he'll probably say pretty much the same thing that we say is, it was a tough game, and obviously Alabama left some plays out there, but you got to credit Michigan or that. I don't know. We'll see. Let's go ahead and let me put this up here for you guys too. Brett, great graphic, by the way. Thanks. Yeah, if you want to call in, the phone lines are open. Let me go right to the phone lines, and we'll get this thing started and talk some Alabama football. Who's this and where you calling from?
Hey, Mick, it's Iceman. Happy New Year.
Ice, baby, man. Tough one today, huh?
Yeah, it's a tough one. I could say that they played really hard, but they also – I think they could have played better. I think Michigan definitely played better, and some things didn't go our way, some things didn't go their way. And at the end of the game, I mean, we just fell short. But I honestly couldn't be more proud of where this Alabama team has gone. Because despite all odds, coming into week 3, what was our conversation like?
Yeah.
It was like, what are we even talking about? I mean, is this team even going to even finish 8-4? And they made it all the way, despite all odds, to Pasadena, California, and went in the Rose Bowl, and they played a damn good game.
Yeah.
Pardon my French there.
No,
they
go
did.
ahead. Go ahead.
And I honestly, I couldn't be more proud of all of them. I mean, every single one, except for Seth McLaughlin.
So sick of it, man.
I mean, he's just been a liability all season. I mean, you know what? I do hope that he goes to the NFL and he maybe moves a left tackle or something, or guard. He seems like he can block, but he just can't snap the ball. He really can't. I mean, that has been the whole liability. If I were just to change one thing about this game to ensure Alabama to win, it would to be those snaps. Because at that point, we probably would have won.
Yeah.
There's so many scoring drives that got stalled out because Milroe was picking the ball up or running backwards trying to stop the other team, Michigan, from picking the ball up and scoring.
Yeah.
I mean, Milroe didn't play perfect. No one played perfect out there. But if it's one thing I would change, it would have been that.
Well, I know some of you guys want to blame Milroe and not you, Iceman, but hell, man, I mean, like those guys were in the backfield all game. Like he literally had no time at all to pass the football for a bunch of plays today. I mean, it just they were constantly pressuring the quarterback.
Yeah, we were expecting Milroe to have the pass release of Phillip Rivers, and that's just not him. Yeah, and I got to say though, when he was out there making plays, it looked awesome. I am really excited because let's be honest, we're going to have such a huge return on talent coming in next season. All these guys, most of these guys are coming back.
Yeah,
and we got even then some. And this is their floor, is going to the playoffs, being the SEC champions. That's exciting. I'm excited to see what next year is going to look like, or actually this year. So next season. So I don't know what else to say about how it ended, but how it can begin next season is going to be great. We know our kicker Talty is a tough guy because he made a tackle one time, and we're going to miss Will Reichert, but hopefully this Talty guy is going to be Mr. Automatic 2.0, right?
Yeah, let's hope so. I mean, you certainly hope so. I mean, it was nice having like an NFL kicker all year.
Yeah, it's like watching the Coup guy from Atlanta just making the field goals look easy. I mean, he only missed 3 field goals all season?
Yeah.
I mean, I think he should have got to Lou Groza, but I get it. You can't count the fact that he was all the other scores in the previous seasons have to be on this season alone. And but if it was up to me, he'd be the Lou Groza winner right there. And moving to the defense, my gosh. I was doing the math. I don't know if I messaged you what the math was on Alabama's defense in the second half. We averaged 8 points allowed.
Yeah.
In the second half all season.
I know.
And that's even with the blemishes of Texas and that was it. That was the only blemish.
Yeah, came up with the big play against Daniels. Yeah, just it came down to 4 minutes and a 4th and 1 play. And we just didn't make the play. No one went out and covered the back. And that's 2 guys covered the slot guy. No one covered the back. He got the first down, and that was really the game. If you stop them there, you're not talking about that, And I guess you could even look at it like this too, is if you if you score a touchdown instead of kicking a field goal before that, when you had the ball, then you're not talking about this either, So I mean, it's just the way that it goes, I mean, that's the sport. I mean, you're not going to win every single game. You try to, but it's really hard to do that. You either make a mistake or get some bad breaks. And, today had nothing to do with injuries. It didn't have anything to do with officiating. It was just they made a couple more plays, and they were due, man. I mean, think about some of the losses that they've had in the playoff. You know, they've been one of the biggest embarrassments in college football in the playoff. Last year, they lost to TCU, and you saw what happened to those guys against Georgia. And a lot of those players decided that they were going to come back because they wanted the opportunity to have one more chance when they could have gone to the NFL. You know, could have transferred out. And they got an opportunity, and you know what? They have one more, and you know they could win the national championship. You know, and who knows what's going to happen? But but today they made those plays, and it was worth them coming back.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And you know, hopefully, I'd like to see Texas go in there. You know, that's just me personally. Texas gave us Bucky's. So I hope Texas wins it for Bucky's, you know. And I'll go ahead and wrap it up. That way the next callers can get in. I just wanted to say another thing is congrats on getting over 3,000 subscribers to this channel. It's been awesome watching it grow since kickoff.
Hey, thanks, brother.
And if you're tuned in live, you got to subscribe. We're looking for 4 and 5 stars, right?
Yeah, that's it, man. Like you, my friend. Thank you, man. Roll Tide, and heads up. You know what? We're gonna have a lot more fun on here before it's all said and done. Today, obviously, didn't go the way that we wanted to, but we got to watch a hell of a football game with all the mistakes. You know, so thanks, Ice.
All right, Roll Tide.
Roll Tide. Appreciate you, brother. All right. Let's go back to the phones again. I'm just going to check one more time to see if Coach Saban's up, because I do want to hear what he has to say, and I think you guys do as well. And he's not talking yet. All right, let's go back to the phone lines again. And who's this, and where you calling from?
Mick, it's Steven from Perdido.
What's up, Steven?
How you doing, brother? Roll Tide.
Hey, Roll Tide, man. Didn't go our way, but you know what? It was a hell of a game, man.
It was. We had our opportunities. We didn't capitalize on them, but this one's stinging me a little bit worse than some others in the past. I just thought we had so many opportunities, and the team just didn't capitalize on it. I didn't think Milroe was very comfortable. I know he's under pressure, but you know, we're a second half team. We get in the second half, and we take over.
Mm-hmm.
And we had all our opportunities, and it looked like football gods just weren't on our side. I know we got a lot to do with it, and they do too, but it didn't look like classic Bama in the second half, you know.
We started to lean on them a lot, and then we just kept the damn snaps and the offsides, you know. It's like you could feel it coming our way in the third quarter and then into the fourth quarter. And when we had a chance to step on their neck, we just didn't do it.
We'd go backwards.
Yeah.
Yep. I kept telling my wife we were watching, and I said, we're going to start taking control of the game. Here we go. And we'd go backwards. And, oh, man, it's just frustrating to me, man. I think we're kind of, you know, we're Alabama fans, and we've watched it since 2009. You know, this train just run down the tracks. And I'm kind of getting to the feeling where, like, I'm kind of worried. I don't want it to end, you know, and I kind of get it burns. It just stings for me this year, man. I hate it for the players. They had a great season. Milroe will be back. You know, like he said, we got a bright future, man. But I just hate it's over for them.
Well, you know what? You're not going to win them all, Steven. I mean, that's just the way that it is. You know, in the days of like going out there and blowing teams out, that's not going to happen either. I mean, with the transfer portal and the NIL and stuff, I mean, you don't even have to be a good coach. As long as you got some cash, you're going to go out there and buy them. You know? But this Michigan team was a team that stuck around. They came back for this game.
Did.
You know, they did. And that's
to do this.
Yeah.
You're right. But I kind of feel like when I think of Michigan, I just think of dirty. You know what I mean? I just hated to lose that game with all the stuff surrounding that team, with their sign stealing, whether stealing signs or not, whether the proof comes out and they were. It just put a stigma on them, and I hated losing to them specifically. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I wanted to at least make it by them. I guess that's why I think I had a personal vendetta about them. I don't like Harbaugh. I don't like Michigan. I I just think they're dirty. So that might be the reason why it's kind of burning me a little bit worse.
Yeah.
Mick, the press conference is up.
All right. Well, hey, Steven, thanks for getting on here, brother. I'm going to put Saban on, all right?
Love your show, babe.
Hey,
Talk soon.
Hey, love you, man.
Roll
Thank
Tide.
you. Roll Tide, brother. And thanks for calling in.
Goodbye.
Guys, if you're on hold, just hold on. We're going to listen to Coach real quick and get him on and see what he has to say and then get back to the calls. But I'm sure Coach isn't going to have a whole lot to say, probably some. He'll say something.
I don't know. I don't know how long he's been up there. I just surfed over there, but him and the players are up.
All right, let's see if we can get him up. I see he's kind of retraining here. Look at that, the circle.
The circle of death. The circle of doom. I don't know. May have to wait for.
All right, here we go. Here we go.
We're going to go ahead and get started. Before we begin, I will ask give a quick opening statement about this game, and then we'll open up the floor for questions. We have mic runners on both sides. Please raise your hand and state your name and affiliation when asking a question. Coach Saban?
Yeah, well, obviously we're very disappointed about the outcome of the game. I don't think we played great in the first half, but I was really, really proud of the way our players played in the second half. We just didn't finish the last 4 minutes of the game like we'd like to, and we're all very disappointed, and the players are disappointed as well. But one thing that I told them in the locker room after the game, this is one of the most amazing seasons in Alabama football history in terms of where this team came from, what they were able to accomplish, and what they were able to do, winning the SEC championship, and really, really proud of this group. And, I just wish that I could have done more as a coach to, help them be successful and help them finish. And all we can do now is learn from the lessons that sometimes failings bring to us.
Thanks, Coach. We'll start with a question here in the front.
Coach Saban, LT Willis at TD Sports TV1. My first question to you is, what does this mean to have the opportunity, first of all, to play in the Rose Bowl game, the granddaddy of them all, to you as a coach personally?
Yeah, it was great. I grew up in the Big Ten, coaching the Big Ten for 12 years, and it was win the Big Ten championship and go to the Rose Bowl. That was always special, and we've had several opportunities to do it, but this is a great atmosphere here today. It was a great football game. Congratulations to Michigan. They played a really good game, and I'm just wish that we could have finished, a little better, but it was a great experience here for our players, and we really appreciate all the Rose Bowl folks who did a wonderful job of creating some really, really fine hospitality for us all week long.
Our next question. Oh, I'm sorry, Coach. Our next question will be from the front here.
Nick, I was wondering if you could elaborate on why you said this is one of the best seasons for Alabama football, given obviously you guys have won national championships like you have.
Well, I just think that, I don't look at it necessarily from winning and losing. You won the championship, you didn't win the championship. As a coach, you're always trying to get your team to improve and be the best that they can be. And I think this team probably improved from the South Florida game and the Texas game early in the season as much as any team I've ever coached. And that takes a lot of hard work, a lot of people being very committed to doing things that they need to do to self-assess and improve their game. And all these players bought in on this team and did it in first-class fashion. So that's why I think, for me as a coach, maybe not for everybody else, it's one of the teams that I always remember most and be the most proud of.
Our next question will be from the blue jacket in the middle there.
This was for Jalen Miller, Ryan Hennessy, WBTM in Birmingham. Coach said, he wished he could have done more, but many people are saying this is one of his best years coaching. What does Coach Saban mean to you and this team mean to you in general this year?
100%. Coach means a lot to us. We play even harder, knowing that the coach has the belief system in us. Just listening to him talk, he talks about, how proud he is of this team. We have a lot of things we can be proud of from this season. Could have easily lingered and passed mistakes. Could have easily went in the tank when things weren't good. But the biggest thing we did was continue to improve, continue to have singular focus in our approach when it came to preparation and when it came to attacking the task at hand. So, there's a lot of things to be proud of. But one thing I am proud of is how much Coach Saban, harped on his belief system on us.
Our next question comes from the gentleman in the jacket there.
This is Johnny Condon, ABC 3340 in Birmingham. Coach Saban, this is for you. In the first half, they were sending blitzes and pressures, and I think they got you 4 or 5 times in the first half. From a communication standpoint, what was breaking down in the first half?
Well, not one particular thing. There was a couple times when we could have redirected the protection, which we kind of put on the O-line to a large degree, and we didn't do it. A couple times the shot clock was running down and we didn't get a chance to do it. And a couple times we didn't fan and misexecuted up front in terms of getting the right guys blocked when we were in the right protection. So it was a combination of several things. I thought we did a better job in the second half, but we didn't give Jadon an opportunity to make some plays, nor our receivers make some plays down the field, which was a big part of this game.
Our next question will come from the front here.
Coach Saban, could you talk about the last play and what made that one the best one that you wanted to go with?
We called 3 plays. One they called timeout, one we called timeout, and the last one that didn't work. So the fact that it didn't work made it a really bad call. You know what I mean? So, but we called timeout because we had a bad look. We had a good look on the first one. They must have known it. But Tommy just felt like the best thing that we could do was have a quarterback run, which was kind of our 2-point play, one of our 2-point plays for this game. And the ball was on the 3-yard line, which is just like a 2-point play. So, but we didn't get it blocked, so it didn't work. We didn't execute it very well, and it didn't work. And they pressured, and we thought they would pressure, but we thought we could gap them and block them and make it work, and it didn't.
Next question comes from the right here.
Hi, Jalen. Mark Myers, AP Radio. How did you see that last play unfold, and why didn't it work from your perspective?
First thing, I'm appreciative of my coaching staff for believing in me to have the ball in my hands on that last play. You win some, you lose some. This is all part of the game, With anything, all it came down was fall back to your level of training, and we just failed on that play. That's all it was, because at the end of the day, I just trusted the guys up front for believing in me on the last play to have the ball, and unfortunately, we just missed, and we just didn't get in the end zone.
We have time for 2 more questions. We have one right here in the blue jacket.
For Jalen, Mike Rodak with 247. How much have you and Seth worked on that quarterback center exchange this year, and why in your mind was it still an issue at this point in the year?
With anything, it takes preparation, whether it's pass protection, whether it's running game, the passing game. The quarterback and the center have to have a great relationship, and that is something that we try to build throughout the whole season. There's a multitude of things that me and Seth talk about, and in that regard, that's something we do talk about.
Our last question will come here from the front.
Chase Goodrow with the Tuscaloosa News for Coach Saban. Special teams was an area where y'all seem to have a pretty big advantage tonight. It was a big reason. I think you were only down 3 at the halftime. Can you just speak to special teams tonight?
I think special teams did a good job tonight. We did a good job of controlling field position. I think both specialists did a really, really good job. James did a great job of punting. They had time to maybe go 2 minutes at the end of the game, and the fact that he kicked the ball with a 2-yard line or 1-yard line or whatever was really, really good. Will made some huge kicks, around 50-yard field goals. So they missed a field goal, which put us in great position to have a chance to be successful at the end of the game. But us not finishing a couple drives, and if you really analyze the game, one of the biggest things is we didn't play well enough on defense when we needed to. And the second thing is we had too many drive-stopping plays on offense. I mean, we shot ourselves in the foot. Sack is a drive-stopping play. Getting a penalty usually is a drive-stopping play. So some of those things we self-inflicted. And I told the players after the game, I told them before the game, it's going to be about what we do. And when you look back at it, it's kind of about what we did and what we didn't do. Not taking anything away from Michigan. They played a great game. They got a good team. They're very well coached, and I wish them the best of luck in the future. But, we could have done things a little better as well. And that's on me, on the coaches. It's not anybody else.
Thank you, Coach. We appreciate it.
All right. Thank you. Appreciate what the media has done all year long. It's great that you give a lot of positive self-gratification to a lot of players who work really, really hard and create a lot of interest in our sport. Thank you for that.
All right, there you go. Nick Saban speaking after Alabama's overtime loss to Michigan in the college football playoff. And, we'll keep talking about that. Let's go back to the phone lines again. Appreciate you guys holding on through the press conference. And let's talk more about this game. Who's this and where you calling from?
What's up, Mick? This is Sam from Alabama, man.
Hey, what's up, Sam? I know it's a tough one, huh?
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't hurt as bad as some others, though. Knowing that, we played well. Like Coach said, we shot ourselves in the foot one too many times. And, it's just unfortunate that it came down to a fourth and goal play at the end in overtime. So it was tough, but to me it doesn't sting as much. It just a lot of failed opportunities. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, that's the tough part about this game. You lost in overtime. You had the ball on the 3-yard line. It's not like anybody got blown out. If Michigan would have lost and Alabama would have won, I'd have been talking about the same stuff. Their defense they got waves of guys up front. They're good. They're a good team, but Alabama's a good team too. These are two really good teams. This was as tough as this is. This was a colossal college football matchup. Heavyweights.
Yeah. You got to give a lot of credit to Michigan. They came to play. They played physical on both sides of the football. We just poor execution on offense, poor execution on defense. They had us screwed up early on in the game, with all the motion and the misdirection. It just screwed up our linebackers, man. On that touchdown play in overtime, Trez Marshall went in the wrong. He chose the wrong hole. You had two defenders in the same hole, and he just didn't do a good job of scraping and getting over the top. And if he had a scrape well, he would have ended up in the right hole to make a play on that running back. But you got to give credit to how Michigan attacked us with a lot of those misdirections. Especially that I was telling somebody, I was like, man, it's like 5 minutes left in the game in the fourth quarter. I was like, this is the big drive of our defense, and they got to stand up and stop them right. If they stop them right here, I believe we could take the game. And they didn't stop. They had a chance. It was 4th and 2. They screwed us up. They screwed our linebackers up, and the running backs out there running scotch free. So you got to give Michigan a lot of credit for scheming us up on defense and screwing our wires up, getting our eyes in the wrong place, and it's just that it's on offense, man. You had one drive where the center just killed the drive, man. The dude just killed the drive. It's happened all year. Not sure why it hasn't been corrected to this point, but it's something that we've been dealing with all year. Especially like on the first. I don't know if it's the first drive or the first couple of drives of the game. They had a running into the kicker, and they didn't call it. I mean,
they missed that one.
Drive.
Yeah. I'm glad he didn't get hurt.
You know,
he turned out to be one of our best players.
Right. And that would have kept our drive alive. And who knows what would have happened. But, you know, every time we play a game, sometimes I get an eerie feeling of how things are going to, you know, could possibly play out. I know in that Texas game earlier this year, it's like, man, we caused 2 fumbles in that game, 1 or 2 fumbles in that game, and we had an opportunity of getting those fumbles, and we did, right? In this game early on, in the first series, with defense, just unfortunate that Caleb he stepped out of bounds. And who knows what would have happened if we had you know, who knows how the game would have turned around if, you know, we had went up there. But, you know, we did end up scoring on them first, but too many missed opportunities. And, you know, I hate that, you know, that the streak is kind of ending. You know, every class that Nick Saban has had, right?
Yeah.
Has gotten a national championship.
Right.
It's been 3 seasons now since we had a championship, a national championship. But there's nothing that they can hang their heads about. Is you know, give them credit for bouncing back and not holding in the tent and giving up. You know, and but yeah, man. I mean, I think they'll be back. You know, we got some. We have a bunch of guys that's coming back. You know, a bunch of young guys. I think we just got to do a lot of self-assessment and self-scouting, especially with the play calling, because I'm not sure about the play calling in that game, man. I know he had to change some stuff up because of the protection, and they couldn't block for Miro in that game, man. But it still is just like coming down the end, and especially in overtime, I'm kind of skeptical of the play calling, even though there was a couple missed blocks, that probably some of the calls probably would have worked, but it just wasn't blocked up well. So, there's nothing that they can hang their hats about. You know, they played well, but it just wasn't good enough.
Yeah, that's it, man. Today it was an overtime loss to the number 1 team in the country. That's why no one's ever beaten the number 1 team ever in college football history back-to-back games. I mean, that's tough to do, and Alabama almost did it. They had the lead in the fourth quarter with 4 minutes left, and they didn't get to play. They didn't win. They just didn't win. But they, that
was hard. That's hard to do.
Yeah, man. I mean, look, if you played this game 10 times, I think that it would really be like 5-5. I mean, like if you ran this back, I think Alabama wins. I think Michigan wins. I mean, this was a pretty even matchup. We couldn't have blocked worse than we did today. And it was more than blocking. It was recognizing the blitz. It was taking advantage of the blitz. We didn't give Milroe any time in the pocket. And I mean, I feel bad for him because every time he would get back there, and when he did have time, they had our guys covered. I mean, they just did. Like their secondary played great. They just did a good job, man. I mean, this wasn't the Auburn game where we went in and played a crappy Auburn team and let them hang around. And this wasn't Texas where we just, we didn't know what we were doing. This was a great football game that we didn't win. And we made some mistakes. They made mistakes too. I mean, it's not like they missed kicks and, and they had turnovers and, they didn't have a perfect game either. Their special teams was terrible, so it was just a football game. This is what football games look like sometimes. You don't always win, even if you play a good game or a good enough to win game, and
yeah, I mean, like I said, they executed better than we did. And that probably was the difference in the game. Is key plays, key situations where they just executed a lot better than we did. It came down to executing the play.
Mm-hmm.
And they executed their plays, especially on offense, and a lot better than we did on offense. and a lot better than we did on defense. That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. But that's all I got, Mick, man. I appreciate you for taking my call, man. And good talking to you. I ain't talked to you in a while. It's been a minute. But I was like, let me call in. And also congratulations, man, on your 3,000 subs, man.
It's a lot of hard work, Sam. Hey, Sam, those subs are a lot of hard work, bro. It's a lot of hard work. But it's you guys that I'm thanking. It's not
time,
me.
though.
Yeah.
It takes time. It takes time.
Yeah, but thank you, man. Thank you a lot. I appreciate it. Always good to talk to you. Roll Tide, man. Always good to talk to Sam. All right, let's go back to the phones and let's keep them coming. Who's this and where you calling from?
It's Mike Jones calling from Birmingham, Alabama.
What's up?
And so I've heard all the callers call in, and everybody has made excuses about the play of Alabama and what happened early on. But all of those are excuses to me, man. When you look at the last few recruiting classes, when we look at the coaches, even you, Nick, if you're being honest here, we were expected to dominate Michigan. Am I wrong or right?
I mean, I thought that it would be kind of like this. I just thought we'd make more plays in the fourth quarter. I thought we would be the team that would win probably like they did, but not in overtime.
Okay. So we didn't make the plays when plays were made. That's what everybody was saying. But at some point, we got to put the blame on Tommy Rees and Miro. It's a part of the game. Miro's job is to make plays when his number is called. His job is to be a point guard.
Yeah.
He's a quarterback at the University of Alabama. Tommy Rees, this is your job. You're not at Notre Dame. You're not at Tennessee. You're not at Ole Miss. Your job is to, call plays and execute, get guys open. Now, if we needed another Bill O'Brien, we would have hired him. Not saying that Tommy Rees was another Bill O'Brien, but this was our opportunity to make plays, and I don't feel like we made it. I just hear a lot of the callers making excuses and satisfied with, hey, yeah, it's been a good season and we got here. No, hell no. I'm pissed. I'm furious. There is nowhere in hell Michigan should have been halfway in this game. Especially coming out of the second half. Especially, I can see the first half. Okay, we're gonna go into halftime, make adjustments. But we got away from the run game. I feel like we didn't run the ball effectively, and I feel like we relied on Miro's arm more often than we should have.
Right.
Like the beginning of the first half of the season. That's what it felt like to me. When we should have been running the ball when I forget his name. The freshman running back. What's his name?
Chase? The freshman? You're talking about Justice Haynes.
Yeah, when Justice Haynes came in, even when Jay got his opportunity, when we started to run the ball, like we were moving the chain, but we'll run the ball. We'll get 2 first downs, or we'll get a first down. We'll go back to throwing the ball. Like, no, let's run it down that fucking net. That freaking net.
Yeah.
Like,
I felt like that too. Look, I felt like we were throwing the ball too much early in the game. You could tell that we weren't doing a good job of identifying the rush. And when we were running the ball, we were finding some space. I'm thinking like, hey, let's run the ball and let's kind of do that and then force them to kind of take a step back. And it felt like every time we were doing something positive, it was based off of the run, not the pass, but we kept going back to the pass.
Yeah, absolutely. And even on the drive killers when the ball when when Miller wasn't athletic enough to catch the ball when it was down to his freaking ankle. And you hear the sports commentator say, Miller was athletic enough. No, the ball should be at his chest.
Right.
All plays. Every time the ball is snapped throughout the season, not just today.
Dude, it was so ridiculous.
The ball is at his ankle.
The snaps the last couple years, because Bryce dealt with it a lot too, have been they haven't been good enough. I no more of this. It's just time for move him over and let him block and let somebody else come in here and snap. A center's a really important job, and maybe identifying plays, he's good at that, and he's good at other stuff too. Maybe he blocks, but I'll tell you what, he don't snap, and it's enough is enough. And I don't think I want to watch any more of that.
Yeah. No, and it was a call on. I forget the guy. It was a call on your. I don't know if it's an analyst or whatever, but on your show said that his snaps was going to cost us a big game, and we thought it was going to be against Georgia.
Yeah,
but I believe that was one of the plays that defined this game.
Yeah,
because that killed the drive. But it's still roll tide, baby.
Yeah.
I'm excited for what the future brings. I do believe Miro should. I hope he progresses throughout this off season, and I hope the coaches give Ty Simpson the opportunity to compete. Outside of Miro's athleticism, he has great mental toughness, physical, strong, fast. But at Alabama, we like to compete for national championships, not just show up for appearances.
Right.
And I believe there were some plays that were missed in this game that he could have made. But I hope he's able to improve throughout this off season. And I hope that it's really a competition and the best man wins this off season, and not just Miro's giving the job based off what he did this season.
Mm-hmm. I think that's how it always is at Alabama.
Well, I'm looking forward to it, man.
Yeah. Hey, the competition is only going to make you better.
What do you think? Give me your honest Jalen Miro assessment of this game and Tommy Reed, because the defense did their job.
Yeah, I felt like it was as much the whole offense, man. I mean, the fact that they couldn't block. I mean, watching those guys just run right past and part of it's on him, but a lot of it's on the line. I mean, geez, those guys were running through there and nobody was even touching them. And maybe you got to identify that, hey, look, there's an extra guy coming, but I'm fine going into any season and saying, hey, you know what, here's everybody's going after these positions and we'll see who wins it. It's going to make that person that gets the job better to me, but I'm not putting it all on Milroe. I'm putting it on everybody. I mean, the receivers weren't getting open. He threw the ball to them and those guys were all over him. The line, when they weren't blocking, we kind of got some rhythm, and then they'd have false starts, the snaps, it was just a combination. If McClellan doesn't fumble when we're moving the ball down on the field on them, I know they missed a field goal after that, but it's just so many different things that happen in a game. And I didn't feel like it was, I put a lot of it on Milroe against Texas. I didn't really feel like that was the case today. I felt like it was part of it. I mean, maybe he could have, I would have just ran more if I was him, because that was something that they had a tough time of stopping. But the thing was, like, 1 minute he looks like he's ready to run, and then the next minute it's like he wants to hold the ball. He's like a little indecisive, and that's part of that is he hasn't played a ton of football. I mean, so I don't know, man. I don't know. But the defense missed a lot of plays too. They could have won the game in the fourth quarter. So
Mick, Michigan's defense came in with a game plan. We're not gonna let Miro beat us. You could tell with they were playing zone majority of the game.
Mm-hmm.
There wasn't a bunch of man coverage. So that's on Tommy Reed and the offensive staff to design plays for that.
Right.
Now we had Isaiah Bond make one play. That's outside of Isaiah Bond earlier in the first quarter when he made that. I don't know if it was a third down catch, 29-yard gain. Outside of that, our receivers were quiet. We didn't make any plays for our receivers. So
right.
That's on our offensive coordinator to design plays to get those guys open. When they're playing zone, we have to create matchups for that zone. Okay, whether they're playing cover 3, cover 2, cover 1, and we have to go in our bag and create those plays. But when Dalen Miro, in his mindset, when a play breaks down, he's going to resort into running.
Yeah.
Well, when you got Michigan, in their mind, we're not going to let him. They're prepared for that.
Right.
So I see what you're saying there. But again, I just feel like it starts with the offensive coordinator. It was Cameron's first big game outside of Georgia. And we just didn't execute this game. I'm excited about the future, but I'm a little disappointed in those guys, man.
Yeah. Well, Roll Tide, man. Happy New Year, and thanks for calling. It's always good to hear from you.
Thank you, man. Appreciate you taking my call.
Anytime, man. Call back next season or next time we do a show. Let's go back to the phones and bring on Clint from Birmingham. Happy New Year, Clint. Roll Tide, man.
What's up, man? How you doing?
You know what? I'm a little disappointed, but at the same time, I don't feel like I did after the Texas game. I feel like I'm disappointed, but I feel like it was two good teams and they made one more play, and it's a typical Alabama loss, being that it kind of came down to the end, like last year lost a couple of games like this, and and this was their day. I'm disappointed that we're not going to Houston. I was looking forward to that. But all in all, man, it's just the way it goes.
Mick, you want to know what I'm disappointed about?
What's that?
You're not going to have another call-in show, man.
I'm going to have to do these maybe I'll just start doing a weekly call-in show. We can get together and talk. I mean, I've had fun, and honestly, the message board's normally fun. I mean, there's some some haters on there, but for the most part, get on here and we duke it out, and we've got a lot to be happy about. I mean, since I've been doing these, I mean, we've won a championship. We've been into the college football playoff twice. You're not going to win it every year, and then we'll probably be back next year and win it. And it's going to be a lot of fun with a 12-team playoff, right? So it sucks, but at the same time, it's just part of sports, man. I mean, you don't always win.
Man, it is disappointing, but if you think back to the first couple of weeks of the season, did you really think that we would be within one play of playing for the national championship?
Man, Saban did it. He said it in the post game too. I mean, this has been a special season when it comes to how far this team came. I mean, they gave us a lot of enjoyment this year, they're the SEC champs, and then that's not something to just shake your head at. I mean, that's a big deal.
It is a big deal. And you know what? I think Saban knew the potential of this team, even though this team is it's more of a blue-collar defensive run-the-ball team. And that's one thing I think if we look at today by itself, I don't think we leaned on the running game enough. But
well, that's what I thought too.
It was a blue-collar run-the-ball defensive team. And, man, Saban loves those kinds of teams. You can see it in his eyes.
Mm-hmm.
When he's got a team like that, he loves coaching a team like that. And, man, I hate it for the players because it came down to one play. It's a 50-50. Did you call the right play?
That play call sucked. It's just like,
it did suck.
and maybe it
But
was
you
the
know what? I remember
execution,
when I was
who
in
knows?
high
It,
school,
it just ran into the line, like I was like, all that for this,
Yeah.
but who knows, man.
it sucked. It sucked that play. I remember when I was in high school, we ran a play one year and we scored on it. The very next year we called the same play and they tackled us behind the line and it was a stupid play.
Right.
So, Jalen's a good enough athlete that you look at that play and you think, well, when you look at it from not a fan standpoint, it's a good play because you're putting the ball in your best player's hands. But it didn't work.
No.
And it didn't even come close.
No, dude. No, I mean, like, I don't know what the play could have been, but I didn't like that one. I mean, like we've been down to our last play before, but it was a better play call than that, right?
I think that's we ended up with the play that they thought we'd run, which is Jalen with the ball. And I don't know if you saw you obviously saw the press conference. I watched it on your show.
Yeah.
But he said they had 3 plays, one for them to call the timeout, one for Alabama to call the timeout, and then the play we ended up with.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the chess match. I think Michigan won the chess match on that.
Yeah, well, they did.
Series of timeouts.
They did. I mean, this is, you're talking about, I've said it this week. I mean, Jim Harbaugh, I was disappointed in the sign stealing stuff because I've always had so much respect for him, and integrity in sports matters, but just kind of looking past that, I loved what he did when he was at Stanford. He was a great coach there. He was the guy that beat USC, and they didn't lose a lot of games when Pete Carroll was their head coach, But Harbaugh beat him, and then he goes to the NFL and he gets to the Super Bowl and he loses to his brother. And I think this is his last season. I really do. I think that the next game's his last game. I think he's going back into the NFL. But he went back to his alma mater, Michigan, that hadn't beat Ohio State. He was getting his ass kicked by the Buckeyes every year, and he's turned that around. He's beaten them 3 times. The college football playoff was something that he wasn't able to do anything in, and they just beat Alabama. They're gonna have. I think they're gonna play Washington, and I've said that. Well, that's what my pick was in this game with Michael Penix. I think that this is a bad matchup for Texas because of their ability to throw the football and the fact that they beat Texas last year. Now there's a lot of football left to go, but it's 14-7 right now in that game, and it's Washington ahead. So it could be them in Washington, it could be them in Texas. If they play Texas, that game being in Houston is going to be a home game for Texas. But I think that's going to be it for him. And all he's done is get the program back in a place where it wasn't before. So congratulations to them. I mean, really. And somebody on here shot a super chat. Great game by both teams from a Michigan fan. $2. Hey, thanks. I thought the same thing. It wasn't our best game, but it wasn't their best game either. They just made plays down the stretch, and and made a couple more plays in Alabama, and they won. And they deserved it.
Now, the one really point I want to make is Saban has his 24-hour rule. So tomorrow around 7:45. I think if I was Saban.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Saban is much better coach than me, or else I'd be the coach. But if I were Saban, I would be working on a new person snapping the ball tomorrow.
I think we all feel like that.
7:45 p.m. And look, those 2 plays where we fumbled the ball, that could have been the difference. It's not. You never know. It may not be the difference, but it could have been.
Right.
Could have been those 2 plays. We could have at least put 3 points on the board.
Yeah.
Instead, we punted. And gosh, I've never seen it. I've just never seen it. We have had a problem with that all year. How do you mess that up that many times throughout the year? And then in the biggest game of the year, you have 2 in a row.
No, I know.
And then they made the comment on the broadcast about Saban going to Milrow and saying, "Hey, you're part of this." And I agree with that because leadership is part of it. It wasn't Jalen's fault,
Mm-hmm.
but he's a quarterback, man. You got to get out there and say, "You don't mess this up."
No, I agree. I don't know how.
We gotta have we gotta have somebody else snapping the ball.
Yeah.
If you're gonna do that in a game like this, man,
Let's
move on to somebody else. He can block somebody in a different position. He's probably a good player.
Hey,
but
they need to make a change.
Have somebody else snapping the ball.
Yeah, enough's enough. If he's got bad hearing or whatever it is, if it's the same for both teams. I don't ever remember a season where the snaps were this consistently inconsistent.
For any team ever.
I don't know if I've ever seen anything like this. He's either snapping it when the quarterback's not looking, or he's snapping it over his head, or they're down at his feet. And it's like, man, get this guy out of here. Get him into something else and get somebody else in there that can snap. And that's it. And if it's Milrow's fault, then Milrow needs to they need to get Milrow someone that he can communicate on the same level as him and get him the ball. I mean, that's it. So it was terrible, man. I was watching that.
I mean, those two back-to-back bad snaps could have you can point to those 2 plays to be the detriment of the game.
Yeah,
there are other plays, just like a bad officiating call. You hate to point to 1 or 2 plays because there were other plays too, man. No doubt there were other plays, but you just got to get the ball to the quarterback's chest.
Yeah.
And he did it consistently throughout the game. It was low.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. But it was the whole season. And it's just this started game 1 and it led itself all the way up until the end. And that's what the transfer portal is all about. Go out there and get somebody in here that can snap. The last time Alabama won a championship, 2020, they had a transfer from Florida State. Which is something that after watching their game the other night that we'll probably expect a lot more of. They had a lot of transfers. Does Florida State have another center that they can send us, maybe Texas A&M. I don't know who theirs are, but we've been doing a pretty good job of getting those players that Texas A&M bought, right? So I don't know. But that's about as those are the plays that you look back and you go, man, it's not that they made the Michigan made a lot of plays because they're a good team. They made a lot of tackles because they're a good team. I knew their defensive line was good. I talked about it on the Tailgate show. I knew that they were going to pressure the quarterback. Talked about that on the Tailgate show. I thought that Alabama would do a good job of taking away the perimeter. They did. I thought Alabama's defense would play well. Honestly, they did. They gave up 20 points in regulation, but in overtime, they didn't do too well. And it reminded me of that LSU game last year, where they just ran it right down our throats. We couldn't stop them, and that's a shame, but they look tired, I mean, you get to that point and we had too many 3 and outs. They had a lot of look, man. We got the stats up here. I mean, this was a defensive style game, man. I mean, look at the team stats. It's not like anybody really did anything better than the other team. They only had 15 first downs. We had 17. We were 3 of 13 on third. They were 2 of 11. That were 2 of 2 on fourth down, and that's why they won the game. They went for it on fourth down. That they did a better job total yards, and it's because they passed the ball better. And McCarthy, who's one of the nation's top passers as far as accuracy is concerned, and I told you guys before the game, he reminded me of Jay Barker, and he had a very Jay Barker type game today. Nothing's flashy, but when he needs to make a play, the guy's always done that. He's 26-1 as a starter. I mean, this is a guy that can play some football. The other thing about him was that he's able to run the ball when he has to, and it's different style of running than what Milroe does. So the difference in the game to me was just he just played a good enough game, made enough plays to win, and Alabama's offense just could never quite get in sync. And when they did, bad snaps, false starts, and then and that negates your ability to run the ball. Is that fair? I mean, is that kind of what you're thinking too?
Yeah, I think you're exactly right. And the more you talk, man, you're kind of talking me into pulling for them to win the national championship.
Well, I mean, I don't care who wins.
That's Bama ball.
Yeah.
You're describing what Alabama's always been.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I'm going to, but that's the style of football we as Alabama fans love.
I'm not, and I see the comment. Richard says we played like shit. Look, I'm just telling you, I've played in these kind of games before, and it's like when you're playing against teams that tackle and get after the quarterback, and it's physical, it doesn't look pretty, and you just got to make one more play, and we did not make one more play. I guess I'm like Saban, like I'm looking back on the season and I'm going, man, we had a chance to win a national championship with a team that at the beginning of the year, I wasn't sure what they were going to do. And I guess I'm just kind of looking at it like that through that prism instead of looking at it going, this is the 2020 team where you got, you got all these stars, you got a star at running back, you got, stars all over the field at receiver. You got this and that, the offensive line we had Evan Neal back then, and we had a center that could snap the football. Like we didn't have all that, man. That's all I'm saying,
What about the 21 season when we had all those players all over the field? How do you feel today versus that year?
Yeah, I feel that team.
That team should have won one.
That team.
If it hadn't have been for 2 or 3 drop bombs, we would have beat Georgia today.
Like if we would have had receivers that could catch like these guys can, we'd have won that year. Like these guys receivers did a good job, of catching the ball this year.
And for a team that wasn't we just weren't the team that was thought of as, well, if this team doesn't win, it's a disappointment. It was an uphill battle in the media before the season started. So, I think nobody's happy with the loss.
No, man. I mean, look, I'm not happy about it, and that's not excuses. It's just
it hurts.
It sucks, but I just don't. To me, there's different levels of losses. Like this one to me was just we needed to. Honestly, it came down to the fourth quarter. We had the lead with 4 minutes left. We needed the defense to make a play, and we for some reason we're not guarding Blake Corum out of the backfield. How does that happen? It's that's crazy to me. So anyway,
well, they made one more play than us.
Yeah,
and it really does boil down to, it's not overtime. It's that play, that fourth down play where they picked up 25 yards, whatever.
Right.
That's the play that was the game.
Yeah,
because we had stopped them there, game over.
Yeah, wait, if somebody's like, oh, here comes Blake Corum out of the backfield, and they slide over and cover him and take that option away, and then you know what? I mean, like it's a different game. Actually the game's over. So you're one play away from winning, but I don't know, man. I mean, I just feel like it sucks, but I mean, it's life, I mean, we don't lose a lot, and we don't lose a lot of games like this. I mean, it's crazy, honestly, how good Nick Saban's been, but he'll take this loss to heart. They'll take this heart, this loss to heart. And a lot of these guys are coming back next year. we'll be a lot better for it. Michigan losing back-to-back games in the college football playoff, it made them better for the opportunity, So, that's kind of where I'm at right there. Hey, Thundar, man, thank you so much, man. Thank you for the super chat. Roll Tide to you, man, and thank all of you guys, really. And I know it's heartbreaking for some of you guys, and and I'm with you on that. It sucks, but what are you gonna do?
Mick, the most heartbreaking part of this, we got 9 months.
Yeah, I know. We got a while
until next football season.
I hate that.
Gosh, we kind of went into this game. I don't know of an Alabama fan that didn't expect to win this game, and so we lost a hard fought game, and kudos to Michigan for beating us, but it just doesn't. It's just down deep, down there in your gut, like, oh man, if we could have made one more play, I feel like we'd be national champions.
Oh, I know, man. That's why it's tough to win a championship, though. It's because you got to make plays. I mean, everything's got to fall in your place, which is why Nick Saban's the greatest that's ever done it. The guy's got 7 of them, 6 at Alabama. I mean, and then he's in the playoffs every year, like he's constantly getting shots at the title. And so, it is what it is, man. This team fought their ass off to even get in this game, and for those, like, I saw a couple Florida State people in the comments, talking about Florida State. Look, Florida State lost by 60. Their team cared so much about playing together that they all quit when they didn't make the playoff. The thing about it is, if they would have beat Georgia like Georgia beat them, the AP would have voted them national champs. But they didn't care enough about that. Like, to think that that's where we are with college football right now.
I'm so over that conversation. Florida State shouldn't have been in there. They proved it by the type of team and it's not even, to me, it's not even about how bad they got beat. It's about the fact that the players didn't care about the team enough to play.
Right.
They had too many players to opt out. And so that proves it. So all of you guys out there that are fighting for Florida State to have been in the playoffs, shut up. Just shut it, man.
Yeah.
Just shut it.
Yeah.
I don't want to hear that anymore. That's stupid. That's stupid. The number 4 team took the number 1 team to the wire today and damn near pulled it off. You would have got beat by 40.
Oh, yeah.
So shut up.
No doubt. That would have been a bye for Michigan. But, well, Clint,
they're a good team.
They're a good team, man. Any final thoughts?
No, I guess not, Mick. I'm just sad that the season's over. Gosh, football season is such a great time.
I know.
Fall of the year when it comes to football season in the state of Alabama. And I feel like, every other place has the same thing down here in the South. It's such a great time in the South.
Yeah.
When the leaves start to turn and you get into the deep part of the football season. God,
right.
It's such a good time, and it doesn't last long. So you guys just cherish what you have. All you listening, just cherish what you have, man. Just don't take it for granted.
Yeah. Well put, man. Well, thanks for calling in, Clint. Roll Tide, brother.
Roll Tide, buddy. You have a good one.
You too, man. Happy New Year. Always great to hear from Clint. And I know, look, man, I know in the comments, I mean, some of you guys are, you think that Alabama played like crap, and they did. I mean, in some areas, but so did Michigan. I mean, like this, it wasn't a clean game, man. It was a just a rocket, rock'em sock'em type game. I mean, this was, 2 teams duking it out, and you know, it felt like old school football. You know, I remember when Alabama played Michigan in the Orange Bowl with Tom Brady, and it was a game like this too. And I believe that one went into overtime, and we missed an extra point and lost by 1. You know, I remember last time these teams played, you know, in Orlando, and Alabama won. You know, so you know, it's kind of is what it is, man. You know, it is what it is, and it's kind of just the way that things work. I'm disappointed, just like you guys. I'm looking forward to next year and kind of what that's going to bring. And I'm you know, I'm curious to see what happens with Coach Saban. I know there's been a lot of talk that, you know, maybe he's gonna retire. I'm not buying into it, but you know, people feel like this might have been it, or if he won a national championship, it would have been it, you know. So I don't know. I don't see him as a guy that's like a walkout on top guy. I think he's gonna leave. He's gonna go when he's ready to go. You know. By the way, it's 14-14 in the Texas-Washington game. And they're in the second quarter of that one. So the winner will play against Michigan. So anyway, that's it, man. Thank you guys for calling in. We heard from Coach Saban, kind of got into that. And, you know, I appreciate everyone for hanging out and commenting, be a part of the program, and tell you that Roll Tide will keep continuing covering the team here. Obviously, this one didn't turn out the way that we wanted to. I'm disappointed that we're not going to get to hang out and preview the game all week. But, you know, well, this isn't the end of the world. I mean, it's just another, you know, football game in the college football playoff. And it'll give these guys on the Alabama team something to look forward to, you know, to going back and proving that they belong and, you know, and trying to win this championship. So Roll Tide to you guys. Thank you, James, man. Well said. You know, Roll Tide the next season. And thank all of you guys for hanging out. Great to have Brett Elmore on as well to help get the show going. And make sure that you hang out with us here. Don't forget, too, that the channel is brought to you by Pearl River Resort over in Choctaw, Mississippi. That's about an hour and a half from Tuscaloosa, 2 hours from Birmingham. But they got the table games, slots, all that stuff, man. It's a really fun place to go and, you know, and lay down your wagers. And they got the Dancing Rabbit golf course and the sports book and all that stuff over there. So definitely worth checking out this time of year. And Roll Tide, everybody. Thanks for hanging.